Hello, Royal Affairs family. This is Roy,
And I'm Yolanda.
and we're your guides in Royal Affairs, where we show you affairs
Affairs
done
done
right.
right. So, what's up, family?
What's up?
We have been discussing some common questions that are asked after a couple or a relationship. There's infidelity involved. So, today's topic is a little bit heavy, but we're gonna, do our best to delve through it. Today, we will be talking about trust versus intimacy after infidelity, understanding the difference, and then rebuilding both.
All right, let's dive in.
All right, so before we do, babe, did you ever think we would get to a point where we would, first of all, still be together, regaining trust, regaining intimacy, and then helping other people on this journey by sharing our story? Like when we first got into the throes and when it was first revealed to me, did you think we would get to this point?
Not in a million years. And I say that simply because when you're in the midst of it, as we normally say, the thick of it, it seems like it's just, and in many cases, the worst thing that has ever happened in your relationship. So it's hard to see how does this ever get better, especially if you've not experienced it before, if you don't know any other couples that have kind of gone through it, and you've seen movies where there's the storybook ending, but that's TV, that's movie, that's
As I
scripted.
always say, they wrote it that way.
They wrote it that way.
They wrote it that way.
So it's difficult to see that at the onset, but as we made individual small steps after small steps, you could start to see a little bit of the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right. Yeah. I think same. As a matter of fact, I think someone did tell me, like, okay, you're gonna be, you guys are gonna be okay. You're gonna be sharing this story, and I was like, yeah, no, I did not see that. And I think I shared before on one of our other videos, like, I didn't want that. I wanted to exit stage, I wanted to exit stage left. However, that was not my mandate. And so just learning to express my emotions, learning to express my feelings, learning to have those difficult, crucial conversations, being okay with them being heated, because it's not it ain't as if it's not a simple topic of what color should we paint the wall. Although I guess in times those
that could be
that could be. I guess depending on
how much you like yellow and they like purple.
Yeah. So, but it was a heavy topic. So just being okay with having those conversations, and not necessarily, and this is something I had to learn, not necessarily always having to solve the problem or resolve the situation or the issue right then and there, because I'm analytical. So I'm like, okay, we gotta figure this thing out, we gotta fix it, we gotta do this, and that was something that I had to learn. So I did not think in a million gazillion years that we would get to this point. But you hit on something key, like knowing other couples, who have gone through this. And I don't know if I probably have never shared this, but my mom and dad, there's infidelity in their relationship, but it wasn't talked about. Like, they didn't sit me down, at the dinner table or whatever and say, hey, this was one of, like we did with our group one. They didn't bring in a village like we did to say, hey, this is what's going on. We need y'all help. We need y'all prayers, because this is the path that we want to take. We want to work through this. So it wasn't that. And then, of course, growing up, you hear the, oh, well, she was, or he was, or she was. But again, still not those conversations that were had. So I think it is very important to, when you experience something, to share that experience with others, so that they will, one, know that they're not alone in whatever they're going through, and then two, that there can be light at the end of the tunnel. It's like you said, in the thick of it, it's I'm gonna throw in the towel. You go throw in the towel. We go. It's like that in the thick of it. However, there is a rainbow that definitely can appear. So that's I think that's good to know why we're excited, not about the topic, excited about being able to share there is life afterwards.
Roger that.
Roger that. So there is definitely a difference between trust and intimacy, and there are crucial pillars of a healthy relationship, right? So after infidelity, though, both can be deeply damaged. And so while they are interconnected, I'm looking at my notes here because I don't want to mess anything up. They represent different aspects of relationship that need to be nurtured individually. And so we're going to give a breakdown of what makes them distinct, and then how couples can work on rebuilding each one. Some of the things that we learned in counseling, therapy, individually, jointly, and how we are still using those things that we've learned to reconnect, to continue to build intimacy, to continue to build trust, right? So, babe, how would you describe, or how would you define trust?
Trust is a belief in something. In a relationship, it's a belief in your partner that they will, I guess, do what they say they're going to do, be reliable, and what they say, do no harm. Yeah, do you no harm.
Okay, yeah. So I definitely was going to say that it's a, and it's, and of course we're talking about in a relationship. So trust is trust. So when we went out on date night last night, had such a wonderful time. But usually not, but when we leave group 2 with their older sibling, or maybe we have gotten a babysitter or kid sitter, as they say, they're no longer babies. We will say to them, or I will say to them, hey, can we trust that you're going to be responsible, and respectful, and to do the things that you're supposed to do. So trust is, like you said, the belief that someone is going to be trustworthy. Can't use the same word in the definition, but that they're going to be dependable, that they're going to be reliable, that they're going to do the things that they say they're going to do, and that they have your best interest at heart and not hurt you intentionally.
Correct.
That was like, as we were going through our healing journey and through counseling and things like that, and going through all of the steps that are needed to rebuild trust, I would daily ask myself, okay, Yolanda, do you think that whatever it was, maybe you may have forgotten a call, or something like that, I would immediately say, okay, Yolanda, do you think that he woke up this morning and said, I'm going to intentionally hurt you? And so just replaying those words in my head definitely helped to facilitate, again, after the discovery, that helped to facilitate that. But after an affair occurs and trust is broken, the betrayed partner often feels unsafe. We're questioning whether they can rely on their partner again, and that leads to fear, anxiety, and doubt in the relationship. And I know for a fact that because I am a trust earner.
Earner, yes.
Yes. For me, that was, again, that impossibility, because I'm already a trust earner. You have broken my trust completely. So how do you, Roy, how do you go about regaining that trust? And I point to Roy because obviously he's my babe. So we're talking about, as someone who has betrayed someone, how do you go about rebuilding that person's trust, especially if it's a trust earner? And I like what you said in one of our videos. You have to go in knowing, whereas maybe 5 cents was the trust factor, maybe now it's about $1.05. You gotta be willing to put that extra, go the extra mile.
Yeah. What you're describing there is the bank of trust. So think of your level of trust as a bank account in your relationship. So the idea there is that the things that I used to do that were a deposit of $1. So if I called and said, "Hey, I made it to work," if that was at one point before the infidelity, $1 post the event, then that's only worth 5 cents now because, well, you better be at work right now. So understanding that the deposits that I made after that needed to be consistent, and they may not necessarily have had the same weight, but over time, understanding that Yolanda is a trust earner, making those small deposits. So even to this day, I'm at Walmart, I'm leaving Walmart, just, well, now it's just a habit now. Right. Siri will remind me.
Yeah, I think you remember, you mentioned that on the last video, like, check in with baby girl.
Yeah. So trust is one of those items that the couple has to, and that you and I are working on, yet still to make sure that we're making those deposits and we don't have major withdrawals.
Right, and you hit on one of the things that we'll be discussing. So we got 4 tips on rebuilding trust, and one of them is open and honest communication. And this will, I think you mentioned in our last video, this is one of the things that you will constantly hear over and over and over and over. Not to sound like a broken record, but because it is so important, open and honest communication, because transparency is key to rebuilding trust. And somewhere along the line, I think we forget that it's okay to be honest, especially when it comes to our emotions and our feelings. And if that is difficult or challenging for you to do, that it's going to take a little bit longer to rebuild that trust. But once you understand that that's key, that's paramount, right? You have to be able to do that. And one of the things that was very important for me and our relationship was for you to answer my questions, right? And so the unfaithful partner needs to be willing to answer questions, provide assurance, and be consistent in their actions. And so you have to be okay with avoid hiding the details or becoming defensive. And I know that was something that we struggled with a lot, going in, because in your mind, what were your thoughts, or what was going through your mind when I was asking you questions about the affair?
What does that matter? Is that going to change or help us move forward?
Yeah. And so because I'm analytical, it was most assuredly, I need, it was a sense of, so your whole world is just come falling apart because what you thought was real or what you thought was going on was not going on. So there's a whole mindset of, oh my goodness, okay, so you mean when I was here and you said that you were there, you were not there, and you were doing this. And so everything is just going in your head. And so I think one of our therapists was like, the worst has happened, right? The worst has happened. So asking questions isn't going to make anything any worse. It's just a way for Yolanda to wrap her mind around what's going on, how she's able to process and things like that. So those were some heated conversations. And then also you were told, okay, and you may have to answer the same question more than once.
Correct. Yeah. So kind of going through the therapy sessions for the two of us. Yeah, going through and answering the same question, and it may have been at a different point. So the hesitation on my part is like, well, we talked about that. Like, shouldn't we be past that now? Like, why we keep bringing up the same question? but the patience that the therapist wanted me to have in that particular moment is this is what helps to rebuild trust. So, Roy, yeah, this is going to be difficult for you, difficult for me, but it helps to solidify that trust, and it kind of goes back to the consistency of being able to be in the moment, and I can trust you with my heart because I have these questions. These answers will help us to move forward.
Right, and I don't know. So is that like is this stereotypical? Is that like a male response when okay, we've already discussed this. Why do we have to keep going through this? Is that I don't know. Is that a male response, or is it a, I don't know if it's an analytical response? Is it a I'm tired? Like wait,
it's I don't know if it's a male response, but more so being the betraying person. The tendency is to want to kind of like, well, let's just move on. Let's just this is something that happened in the past. Can't we just move forward? So always wanting to move forward, or being that problem solver. So if you're the problem solver in the relationship, sometimes asking the same questions that seem to go back seems like you're going backwards. So I don't know if it's necessarily a male thing, but more so if the betraying partner is a problem solver, kind of going back feels like, why are we going through this again?
Is it, why are we going through this again? Because then that will bring up emotions of the act, and man, I really messed up, and I see the repercussions, and is it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's included in there as well. I mean, a host of things. I mean, just depending on how that person is feeling that particular day. So it kind of leads into the tangent of kind of being in a safe space, because on any given day, you could be in a different space, and your thought process and feelings in a moment can be different. So sometimes kind of revisiting that space, you may feel a different type of way, kind of going back into that.
Okay, I mean, duly noted. So again, and I think you mentioned this, not I think, but you did. Just a tip would be to share your daily activities openly, or give access to your phone or social media as a gesture of transparency.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, is that something like that you did readily, like here? I can't remember, but now it's okay, baby boy, I need to use your phone because and so now it's like that. But I can't remember if it was like a readily thing. I think it was definitely built up to, because at one point it was like, okay, he asleep, let me go through his phone and let me see what's going on. Because even though you say, hey, I'm going to work, or I was at work, and there's always this, not always, but initially there's this in the back of your head, okay, is he really, or did he really, or is he still, or things like that. So now it's whatever here, whereas I can't quite remember. I don't think it was immediate. And
no, it wasn't immediate. It was progression over time. So like you said, now it's like, well, here's my phone, here's the code, like, there you go.
Right. I think sharing your daily activities came a little bit easier, because you'd be like, okay, at work, going to lunch, those were a little bit more easier than, okay, here's my phone or whatever. But again, just being able to put yourself into the betrayed partner's feelings of, okay, I got to do whatever it takes if that is what you want to do, if you want to maintain that relationship, right? Because you may not, you may want to exit stage left, then that's definitely your prerogative. However, if it is something that the both of you want to do and you want to rebuild that trust and regain trust and intimacy and things like that, then you have to, and each of you have to put yourself into that other person's shoes and understand, okay, this is what it's going to take for me to rebuild trust and for them to trust them again. And then this is what it's going to take for me to not constantly bash someone over the head for something that they've done and they've apologized for doing. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you also hit on another key topic that we definitely do: consistency and accountability. So trust is going to be built through consistent actions over time. And so the unfaithful partner must follow through on promises and be dependable and take full accountability for their actions. And for me, consistency is like key, is like paramount. Like if you say you're going to do something, please do it.
Please do it.
And if please ma'am, please sir, please do it. And if something happens where you're unable to do what you said you're going to do, then please ma'am, please sir, just let a sister know. How was that during the after the discovery and the going through the throes of consistency and accountability? How do you think that landed on you?
Well, after we were going through counseling sessions and the realization, I wrote this down somewhere too, that kind of going back to the other point of what used to be a large deposit is now a smaller deposit. But if you want to rebuild trust with Yolanda, then it's gonna take those things. So at some point I realized that it's gonna take that extra energy, and I think the other part for me was the same energy that I used to conceal what was going on can be the same energy or effort that's used to say, baby girl, I'm an open book, ain't nothing going on. So that consistency there is, well, you had consistency in the affair. Can you have consistency in your primary relationship?
Yeah, and I know I brought that up. Like, okay, so you did this consistently, why can't we get that same amount of consistency? Why can that same effort be there? And it's like a shift in your mindset of, well, if I did it for X, then why can't I do it for Y or Z? But you were definitely, when it comes to accountability, that was something that you 100+%, like A+, E+, whatever the grading system is, you get the highest mark, because that was right from the bat. You were like, hey, I messed up, I take full responsibility. I know that this caused a breach in our relationship. I'm taking accountability for my actions. I want us to work through this. Let's do some counseling. So you were not doing like the blame game. Well, I did this because you did this, or it was like, yeah, I messed up. You said another word in the book, another shameless plug. Go and get that book. But I you just remember what you said. I remember that as that did a lot. Like, that was really like, okay, he's taking accountability for his actions. I'm still mad. I'm still upset and all of that. However, that goes a long way. It's not like that song when we were on the cruise and the little guy was singing it. No, no, no. It wasn't me.
Oh yeah.
And unlike that, you took accountability. Got two more, because this is gonna be a part 2.
Oh.
Yeah, I
But wait, there's more.
think this is going to be, we're going to have to break this up into two parts. But we're going to wrap up these last 2 points about rebuilding trust. And then we'll come back, talk about intimacy, and tie it all in. So you have to allow time and patience because trust won't return overnight. And both partners need to be patient with the process and understand that healing takes time. And the betrayed partner needs time to feel safe again, and that is okay. Which it's kind of challenging for me because I'm that I want to work out today, and tomorrow I want to see the result. Like I wanna
says that knee of yours.
Listen, I wanna work out one day, I wanna eat right one day, and then I wanna see the results the next day. But that's, Yolanda, that is not how things work, ever. And so the same thing is true when it comes to rebuilding trust. But ironically though, I didn't have that same mentality when it came to rebuilding trust. It was like, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but however long it takes is how long it's gonna take. Right. So one of the things that you can do is set realistic expectations about how long it may take to rebuild trust. One of the things we started doing was doing weekly check-ins to assess our progress and assess our feelings. And hey, where are you? How are you? What's going on? Did you call that girl again? Did you? Oh, you know what? That's probably not probably that is key to rebuilding trust, and we did not mention it. Like cutting off all ties of communication with said affair accomplice. Like that's
sounds like you were triggered right there. He was like, ooh, yeah, right there, right there.
It was like, wait, so this is set realistic expectations. Well, that's a very realistic expectation to have, and you did that.
Yes.
Okay. So did you think that it took forever and a day to rebuild or to start rebuilding trust and things like that with me?
As you were going through that, I was thinking of the analogy of you can build a great building, and then with a few sticks of dynamite, boom, that thing can come crashing down. It may have taken years to build that particular skyscraper or that building, and then in a few moments it comes crashing down. So it will take time to clear out the debris, clear out all the dust, go through that mourning process, and then start to put the small pieces together to rebuild. So I think if you think of that particular analogy of
that's good.
What it takes to build, and then the instant that things can be destroyed, kind of parallel, and those two things together will hopefully shed some light on it takes time to build, but it can be thrown away in an instant.
Right. And definitely what helps us is those check-ins, and life got to life, and then we got away from it, but our counselor reminded us, hey, don't forget to do those check-ins. And for us it's usually Sunday evenings after we've put group 2 to bed, and it's just a time to check in to see how you're doing, how are things going, how are you feeling emotionally, what's going on with work, what's not going on with work, things like that. And so doing those things consistently definitely helps with the rebuilding trust.
For sure.
Yep. And then the last thing is rebuild emotional safety. So you have to create an environment where both partners feel emotionally safe to express their feelings and needs without fear of judgment or retaliation. Emotional safety is the foundation for reestablishing trust. And again, you can set aside dedicated time each week to speak openly about how you're feeling, about what's working, about what's not, what's not working. And we mentioned this in the last video about creating that creating a safe space, right? So I can't say, hey, babe, you can come to me and talk to me about anything. And so if he says, well, you know what, went wherever and was triggered because I can't blow up, because then that may cause you to shut down and not want to share with me what's going on. And then on the flip side, I can't say to you, hey babe, I was triggered by this, and then you blow up and like, well, dad, girl, we thought we'd passed all of this or anything like that. So just being able to share, what's going on with you. And our therapist, I keep interchanging therapist counselor, but said, hey, just set a timer and just talk for however long you guys, agree to. Set that timer and just talk, and without any interruptions, without, any but or anything like that. Just allow yourselves the opportunity to just speak. And then once that timer is off, then the next person speak, and then you don't have to solve anything, right, or discuss. It's just an opportunity to just talk about what's going on, right?
Yep. And you mentioned a good point of in working with your therapist or counselor. So for us, kind of creating that safe space for a couple, I'll just speak from experience. Knowing how to do that was foreign, right? So going through therapy helped us to see what that could look like with a facilitator, right? And so facilitator asks a question, and the facilitator will allow both of you to answer, rebuttal. And even if you went to a dark place, or things may have gotten a little bit heated, that facilitator could help to bring us back out of it. And again, like you said, maybe not necessarily solving the problem, but getting to a point where, hey, we can pick this up next week. So taking those skills and that environment into your own safe space at home, whether it's in your bathroom, bedroom, walks in the park or whatever, that's the environment that you're trying to create and emulate, so that you can have those open, honest, and candid conversations about how are you really feeling, right, today, and allowing that person to respond to that. And even if it's not an agreeable moment, or you're not in full agreement at that particular time, you can navigate through that and then come back and revisit it when you're in a safe space again.
Right, I think that's definitely key. And even the journey that we are on is helping with, with our kids. Our oldest daughter is a social worker, and I started implementing, one-on-one time when they were all here. Now they're all gone, so I have to start that back up. But one of the things that she would come, and they would come into my office, but particularly the social worker, and we would talk. And I can't remember how it landed on this, but basically the gist of it was like, can I share my heart with you? And so that's basically what you're doing. You want to create a safe space so that whomever is wanting to share, that they feel that they can share their heart with you without you being defensive, without you attacking them, without you, calling them everything, every name under the sun or anything like that. And so our journey is helping when it comes to, our relationship with our kids, creating a safe space for them and being okay with them sharing their heart. And again, that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's you're wanting to share your heart with someone, and that is where intimacy begins, and that is what we are going to be talking about next week.
Indeed. So if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that like button, and also subscribe so that you'll know when that video drops and the other video drops. So tune in next time when Roy
and Yolanda
will show you how to do
affairs done right. See you guys next time.